This is Ring of Honor superstar and king of the KO, Shane Taylor. And you are listening to the Tapped Out Wrestling Network.
Hello and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast. I'm your host, Lewis Carlan, and we are part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. And today we have a very, very special guest. He's tearing it up right now in Ring of Honor. Please help me welcome Ring of Honor's Shane Taylor. Shane, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's my honor.
I just want to ask you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No pun intended.
Okay. Actually, I want to ask, before we start, I'm just asking because I witnessed this today. Have you ever seen two chipmunks get into a fight? Because,
no,
actually,
I have not.
Today in my backyard, I put sunflower seeds out because there's one chipmunk that I feed, and another one came by, and there was a huge brawl over sunflower seeds. And I'll tell you, when chipmunks fight, they fight without honor, man. And
it's dirty.
It's dirty.
So they get down
and dirty over sunflower seeds, man.
Hey, man.
But I'm not.
I knew people growing up that used to get in fights over sunflower seeds. So I mean.
Okay.
Is what it is.
All right, man. Well, I guess sunflower seeds are very important to some people and to some animals, such as chipmunks. But I'm not here to talk about chipmunks. I'm here to talk about Shane Taylor. So enough about the chipmunks. I'm sorry to bring that up. I just thought I'd just bring that up because I thought it was funny watching them go at it. But for those of the people who might be listening right now who aren't familiar with Shane Taylor, why don't you tell everybody who Shane Taylor is and what Shane Taylor is all about?
Shane Taylor is a man born on the east side of Cleveland, Ohio. I've been a professional wrestler now for almost 10 years. Growing up in the city of Cleveland, I have been, huge athlete my entire life, just about every sport that you could imagine. And now I've gotten a chance to live my dream as far as being a professional wrestler and enjoying this crazy, wonderful business that we call professional wrestling. And now getting the chance to work for a company like Ring of Honor, I get to compete and travel all across the globe against the best competition that this sport has to offer. So that's who I am. And I have a very straightforward style, very aggressive style. And I like to talk a lot of trash, but that's just me personally.
Okay. Now, how did your interest in professional wrestling begin? What age did you decide, and that's it, I want to be a professional wrestler. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to go for it.
The choice to be a professional wrestler didn't happen until later in life, until after, I spent a few years in college, but I knew that my father took me to an event at the Richfield Coliseum in Ohio, and that night it was Kerry Von Erich against the Warlord, and I remember it going to a double count out, and I remember the reaction of the building, and I remember the reaction of everybody there and the boos and just how affected people were by this event that we were watching, and for me, that sparked something in me that I always wanted to go, you know what? I want to have that level of effect on people. I want people to have that sort of reaction. I want to garner that attention. So I knew at that point, I didn't know what I was watching, nor why I was watching it, the things that go into that go in behind the scenes or anything like that. But I knew at that point that it was something special about wrestling, and I wanted to be a part of it.
So you decided you wanted to become a pro wrestler, and you seek out training. If I'm not mistaken, you were trained by Ray Rowe and J-Rocc. So what was that initial training like, and how long did it take for you to go through the training to come to the conclusion that, hey, I'm ready to step in the ring?
The initial training was brutal. I mean, Ray Rowe is a very no-nonsense guy, as is J-Rocc. They are very particular about how they like to do things, and how they want things done. And they were sure to coach me and let me know the things that I was doing right, but more importantly, the things that I was doing wrong and why. For me, being an amateur wrestler for, most of my life, my ability to grasp things and to take advantage of that knowledge that I had already had a base in propelled me a lot faster than others. In just about anything or any sport, you'll have people that advance quicker than others, and I think I had that. That was the case with me. It took me about 7-8 months or so of training before I was ready for my first match. And I say ready with quotations because you're never really ready. You're prepared the best that you're going to be for that moment. And ever since then, it's just been constant training and constant adaptation to different things in different cities and opponents and things like that. So for me, it was an incredible experience, a very hard but rewarding training because now I see all of the work that I put in, not only then, but now starting to come to fruition.
So your first opponent, if I'm not mistaken, was actually J-Rocc, is that correct?
Yes, it was. It was. In Painesville, Ohio for New Era Pro Wrestling.
What was that like? I mean, your first match, you're backstage, you're told that you're on next, and you're about to walk through the curtain and walk down the aisle for the first time. You must have had massive butterflies flying through that stomach. What was that like? You must have been really nervous, man.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't get nervous before matches. Not even the first one. I get anxious because I grew up playing sports and I kind of lock myself into a me versus the world mentality when I go out there. So I'm anxious about putting on the best performance possible. I'm anxious about going out there and proving to myself and to my trainer and to the people watching, to anybody else around the world that I'm as good as I say I am, or I'm as good as I think I am. But more importantly, also to me, I like to prove that I'm as good as my trainers think I am. And that's something that I've always carried with me even to this day. I try to go out and prove those who support me right. And so even during that first match, albeit with my trainer and being the very first time, there weren't a lot of nerves. It was just there was a lot of anxiousness in getting ready for something that I had worked very hard for and something that I had prepared a long time for.
Okay, it's funny you say that because I was nervous, getting a little nervous interviewing Shane Taylor because I've seen you on TV and I see what you could do, and I'm like, wow, I'm talking to Shane Taylor today. I hope I don't get him angry or anything like that. But you're a cool guy. I'm talking to you right now, and you seem like you're not the Shane Taylor that we see on TV. So yeah, my nerves, I feel at ease right now.
This is the thing. I'm every bit the Shane Taylor now that you see on TV. Okay. The difference is there's no reason for me to be upset. We're just having a conversation. Okay. There's no money involved. You're not trying to take food off my family's plate.
Okay.
We're not competing for anything, so there's really no need for me to be angry.
Okay.
If you were standing across the ring from me, we'd be having a different conversation. Okay. You know what I mean?
Well, I can guarantee you that I will never ever be standing across the ring from you. So.
I mean, let's hope not. You
know? No. If I'm ever in Ring of Honor, which I will never be, and they say you got to go up against Shane Taylor tonight, I'm going to say no thanks. I'll say I'd rather take on Jay Briscoe than Shane Taylor.
Hey, I definitely owe him a rematch too.
That's right. So we're actually going to get into that match a little later on. Actually, we can talk about it now. I spoke with I had an interview with the Beer City Bruiser recently, and he told me that when you're in a match with Jay Briscoe, you feel it for like for the next 2 weeks. Is that the case? Being in the ring with Jay Briscoe?
Oh, for sure. But me personally, I like matches like matchups like that. Because physicality in wrestling, I feel, is a necessary thing that, you know, that it needs to be that. It needs to be a fight. And when you fight someone like Jay Briscoe, who goes all out, who goes, 100%, full throttle from bell to bell, you're going to take a lot of punishment. You're going to take a lot of hits. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get bruised. You're going to get banged up. And it's definitely something that you have to recover from. So yeah, I agree with this point wholeheartedly. But I also like being in those matches because they push me and push my opponent to see just how good we both really are.
So are we going to see Jay Briscoe, Shane Taylor rematch coming up anytime soon?
I hope so. I hope so with everything that I have. And preferably, I would love for there to be a championship on the line when it happens.
All right, now going back now to the past, your first year. What was your first year like in pro wrestling, and how long did it take for you to develop the Shane Taylor character?
The first year was, it's all been, the past 10 years have all been a blur. It's just constantly listening and adapting and performing and tweaking things. So, my first year was incredibly busy. So I surrounded myself with the right people and was able to get on the right shows and progress rather quickly. So with that, it's been the same thing for almost 10 years, doing the same thing and following the same pattern. What was the second part of your question? Just to be...
like how long did it take for you to develop the notorious Shane Taylor character?
The character itself is funny because it's not really a character, especially like the Ring of Honor Shane Taylor that you see. That's just me. I come from, like I said, I come from the east side of Cleveland, Ohio, which is a very dangerous part of the city.
Okay.
It's a very drug-filled city, and there's a lot of problems, a lot of violence and things like that. So you learn to grow up very fast. You learn to defend yourself very, very fast, and you learn to be able to handle any situation. Growing up in that city puts a chip on your shoulder that no other city really does, in my opinion. It's not easy to make it out of there, and if you do, it takes a special individual. Like you look at guys like Ray Rowe or Johnny Gargano or Ziggler, even Miz, all from Cleveland. Now, different parts of the city for sure, but when you look at a guy like Ray Rowe, we came from the same area, and you look at how he's grown and how he pushes himself, and you look at myself and that's growing up in that city, man. That's what molds you as a person. So for me, the Shane Taylor character isn't a character. That's my personality when I need to get things done, and I'm faced with problems that I have to run through. That's what I channel.
Okay. You also, there was another character that I was reading about. Were you a character named Jack Frost? Was that correct, or did I read that wrong somewhere?
No, that was it. That was when I was first deciding and figuring out what I wanted to try to be. And then I've always sort of been a guy that just said, I just want to be myself. I don't want to try to rely on being necessarily a gimmick. So that was a very short-lived short-lived thing while I was trying to find out basically that I just wanted to be myself. And what myself is now what you see on TV for Ring of Honor.
Now you've held many titles during your career. Is there one specific title? I know you were, I believe, the Wildcat champion 2 times. But is there a title that you've won during your career that you're most proud of?
While I'm proud of all of them, I mean, personally, I do feel like the Wildcat Sports heavyweight title be because of the company that it is and because of who runs it and because of the respect they have, not only being the first man to win it twice, but also being the first African American champion that the company has ever had, to me was a very big deal, and to me means a lot. I'm someone who prides themselves on being a leader, and having that accolade and being able to do that only helps open doors for other people. So that's something that I'm extremely proud of.
Now you also come from a background. If I did some research, and you were also a boxer and you played football. Was that correct?
Yes, it is. I've been training in boxing ever since I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
So that's something that, like I said, growing up in Cleveland, my father made sure from a very early age that we could protect ourselves if we needed to, and let us understand that the skills that we were being taught weren't meant to be used to commit any crime or to do anything wrong, but they were for self-defense and to defend our family if things came down to that. So yeah, and then probably 7th grade, I started playing football, started running track and field, and started wrestling. And then ever since then, those have also been a big part of my life.
How do you feel those 2 sports helped you in the world of becoming a professional wrestler, if it did at all?
As far as which 2 sports? Boxing and football?
Boxing and football, yeah.
Well, with boxing, the hand-eye coordination, obviously you're dealing with a lot of strikes and you're dealing with a lot of movement. So being able to see shots coming and avoid shots and then know when and where and how to throw shots, that's a big help for me, especially my right hand, which, I can knock anybody out in the world with this right hand. So it only takes one, so that's where the boxing comes into play as well as the cardio and the conditioning and being able to size up your opponent and formulate a game plan. And football, with the explosiveness and the speed and the power, should be the short burst quickness, side to side movement, all the things that you're taught there. Boxing and football, to me, are 2 of the best things to train you for wrestling, as well as wrestling itself, as far as the grappling and things of that nature. But every aspect of boxing and every aspect of football help you hone your wrestling skill.
All right. Now, when you go back to your first year, you're trying to become a professional wrestler. I know a lot of wrestlers, they go through tough times. They have to work 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs to make ends meet. How difficult was it for you to make ends meet in your first year? It must have been quite a struggle trying to realize your dream of becoming a professional wrestler in the beginning.
Of course. I mean, I was in that same boat. It was extremely tough. Spent nights, on floors in the cars. Spent nights, at bus stations or wherever, just trying to make those towns and do what I needed to do in order to succeed. So, it was a very, very tough road that right now, even, 10 years in, I'm starting to, finally be able to pave over. You know what I mean? So,
sure.
it's a constant battle. It's a constant struggle. And if you're blessed to have success early, then great. And if you have to work at it a little longer, then that's just what was in the cards. But always staying humble and willing to work, and good things will happen.
Now, some wrestlers are actually, when they're starting out, or they're lucky enough actually to have someone like to take them under their wing and to mentor them. Did you have anyone like that took you under their wing and mentored you in the beginning?
Yeah, my trainers Ray Rowe
okay.
and J-Rocc were able to do that for me, and they still do. I talk to Ray almost on a daily basis. And he continues to give me notes and critiques and continues to show his support and be one of my biggest advocates. That's why, I was able to get the opportunity with Ring of Honor that I did. And then once he gave me the opportunity, or once he got people to pay attention, then I was able to substantiate that and make believers out of them to earn myself a contract. And along the way, I've had a lot of great guys that have that have helped me. Like guys like John McChesney, Bill Collier, guys like Luke Hawks, guys like Jack Dane, James Beard, guys that have really gone above and beyond what they what they've had to do to not only help me, but further along my career. Also, guys like Lamont Williams and Keith, the promoters for VIP Wrestling, my tag partner Keith Lee, of course. A lot of people, and I'm forgetting some, and I'm sure they'll be mad, but just a lot of guys that have really helped me out and that I owe a lot to.
Now, you mentioned James Beard. Actually, I was reading another interview with you, and you mentioned that James Beard, who was a veteran referee, was a godsend for you. Is that because he helped you along with your career, or how was James Beard a godsend for you?
James Beard was a godsend to me, and I know the interview that you're talking about. I think that was the one I did in Toronto. But James Beard was the man for me because he believed in me, and he believed in me not only as a performer but as a person. And again, like I said, I'm someone who doesn't take that lightly. I've been doubted and criticized my entire career and my entire life. So for those that show that faith and support in me, especially when they do have levels of influence, to be able to show that faith in me and kind of stick with me and allow me to grow and allow me to perform to the best of my ability. To me, that has always been something that I hold dear and that is very special to me. So when I was in NWA Houston, he was one of the guys who really went to bat for me and was really one of the guys responsible for allowing me to be as successful as I was there. And it's only gotten me, more opportunities later on in my career.
Now, you mentioned NWA Houston. I was reading, I looked for the video on YouTube, but I couldn't find it. I actually had a match with another big man, Jack Dane, who I've been a fan of for a while. That must have been an absolute war, you against Jack Dane. Is it available anywhere? Because I'm dying to see that match. I can't find the video for it.
I want to say they have it up on YouTube somewhere. I can try to call around and see who has it. And then we also did one at Pro Wrestling Texas at Pinball's Kingdom in Buda, Texas, where I challenged him for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. So both of those matches were just as hard hitting and just as rough as you think they would be. Jack Zane is a hell of a competitor. I'm glad to see him getting the nationwide and worldwide success that he's had. I believe he's with Global Force Wrestling now and doing great things there. So I'm very happy to see and very proud to see a man of his caliber and a man of his character get those opportunities and that success.
Yeah, he's actually in Global Force Wrestling right now. He's in a tag team with Crimson. Actually, Mayweather and Wilcox are their name. They're veterans of war. They're doing a great job right now. So they're really tearing it up there. So you debuted in Ring of Honor in 2014. What was that like, getting to Ring of Honor for the first time?
Words really can't put it in perspective. You know, Ring of Honor is a company that ever since I saw them, you know, back in like 2011 to 2012ish era, you know, I saw what they were doing and the product that they had put out. Sorry, not 2011, 2002-ish, 2001, 2002-ish.
Okay.
Because they've been around for like 15 years plus. But seeing the level of competition that they had and the guys that they were showcasing, to me, gave me hope and allowed me to know that if I can apply myself to my craft and work hard enough, I can be, you know, I can be at that level, you know. And I've never been a guy that was super ripped or jacked or anything like that, although I'm very, very strong. It's to see people being rewarded for being good at their craft, not just, you know, blessed with good genetics or things like that. To me, that was inspiring, to be able to, you know, be of all different sizes and shapes and abilities and still be considered one of the best in the world, was something that I could aspire to do.
Now, how did the Pretty Boy Killers with Keith Lee come about? Were you guys a team before Ring of Honor, or became a team in Ring of Honor?
The very first time we teamed up was at NWA Houston against Jack Stain and Ray Rowe.
Okay.
For me and for Keith, we've always been guys that as singles athletes could do whatever we wanted, and then we just knew that there weren't any tag teams out there that really looked like us, that could do the things that we can both do. And especially as a united front, there's not really many people that could oppose us. You know what I mean? Keith being able to do what he does, he defies gravity as a guy that's over 300 pounds. You know, and me personally, I feel as though as I could go out and fight anybody in the world and hold my own, if not win. So you combine the two of us with our hunger to be successful and our drive and our ability. We both wanted to show the world exactly who we were and what we were capable of doing. And also, again, to go back to the mindset and to the mind frame that you don't have to be, you know, a certain height or look a certain way in order to win matches and be successful and make money. This is not just a sport for pretty boys. You know, that was the mindset informing the tag team and the success that we had.
Well, you guys were great together. I remember watching you guys as a team, and you had some great matches, and you actually defeated War Machine. What was that like, you know, defeating the team, War Machine, and the guy that trained you? Obviously, Ray Rowe is part of War Machine. But what was it like, you know, defeating that team, and this is the guy that trained you years and years ago, and here you are in Ring of Honor, and you're actually defeating them as a top team? That must have been a very, very gratifying feeling for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those full circle type of feeling, to be able to see everything that they've accomplished now as well, even looking past that, to be, you know, 2-time IWGP tag champs. It only goes to show myself what I know that I can do and the levels that I can reach. But yeah, being in that match and being able to defeat them, I think we beat them once in Philly, and then we beat them again in San Antonio in the street fight. To me, it was a great feeling, not only just to win, but to win against one of the men responsible for me even having this career, and to win on that stage, to me was a message to the entire world that we are to be taken very, very seriously because we're very, very dangerous.
Now of course, Keith Lee left for Evolved. What was your feeling? Were you a little, I don't know, maybe a little upset that the team was ending because it was a great team, or was it just you happy that okay, now he's going and the team is over and now I have an opportunity to prove myself as a singles wrestler?
When I sat down with Keith and we talked about forming the team and what we wanted to do, the goal at the end of the day was for us to both get jobs. And that's what we accomplished. When he was explaining to me the options he had on the table, he hadn't made up his mind yet. He was mulling a lot of things over. And I let him know, man, hey, you do what you have to do for your family and for your opportunity. If that's staying with Ring of Honor, great. We'll do a lot of great things. If that's going elsewhere, then hey, that's great. You carve your own name and you do whatever it is that you want to do, and he's done that. And he's had a lot of great success, wrestled some of the top guys in the world, traveled. I think he just came back from another England tour. So I couldn't be happier for him. And for me, I get to do, improve once again on my own that I can be one of the best wrestlers, not only in Ring of Honor, but in the world. So I'm very excited to be able to be on my own, and to prove that the same way that he has. And we still tag, on other indies. Like for example, we are the VIP tag team champions. And that's a promotion in the Dallas area. So we do still team on occasion. But yeah, now that we're in different areas, in different companies, we both get to showcase, what we can do as, single stars.
Now, how did you hook up with the Rebellion? Because I know I know it was a short-lived, addition to the Rebellion because they lost the matches Search and Destroy. But how did you hook up with the Rebellion?
The Rebellion was it's actually pretty cool. When I talk to people and I gauge them and I look at how they think and I look at what they stand for and their ideals, I tend to gravitate, as most people do, to people that think like you and sort of walk the way that you walk. And listening to what their message was about Ring of Honor and about the changes that they wanted to see and the opportunities that they wanted everyone to have, I was fully on board with that. They talked about how, and it's funny because a lot of people continued to say that they were against everything that Ring of Honor stood for. And I've always made the case that I believe that's a false narrative. I feel as though they were trying to bring Ring of Honor back to its roots, and back to what it was initially. But with any company, you're going to grow and you're going to succeed, and people are going to have differences of opinion. That was our perspective in the Rebellion. Other people didn't see it that way. So that's what led me to that group, and that's what led me to surround myself with guys like Kenny King and Caprice Coleman, Red Titus. Just because of how they saw things and because of the changes that they wanted to make.
Well, it's a shame that they had to break the rebellion up. I was a big fan, and I actually thought they were going to win that match because I think Search and Destroy just kind of came together, like went together for like 2 weeks. So I thought the Rebellion was going to win that match. I think it was Best in the World, the pay-per-view, and I was a little disappointed. But on a plus side, you're actually getting a nice little push as a singles wrestler. I've seen you're attacking some wrestlers I've seen on the TV show. For example, Josh Woods. You took out Josh Woods. I know you guys had a match that's going to be shown on Ring of Honor TV. I don't know the result, so don't spoil anything. But I have a feeling that the match is going to be awesome and most likely going to steal the show. Am I right about that? Was it a show stealer?
Absolutely. You have a guy like Josh Woods, who's an incredible athlete, MMA background, and myself, who has a boxing background and, has the ability to, have one punch knockout power. So, anytime you get two guys like that, in that environment on that stage, it's going to be a brawl and it's going to be a battle. And that's exactly what it was. And I believe it comes out in the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then, you'll be able to see for yourself. But it was very, very brutal, very, very violent.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that match. I mean, that's like I said, two hard hitting wrestlers. When you came out and attacked him, I was excited because I was like, all right, we're going to see a Josh Woods Shane Taylor match. So I'm looking forward to that match, and I hope you do win. I don't know the result, but I hope you do come out on top. So what would happen? I know you're getting that nice little push. So what would happen if Cody Rhodes puts the title on the line, the ROH World title on the line against Shane Taylor? What happens in that match?
That's an interesting question. He did have that post where he's, the videos out where he's challenging all people and things like that. And, for me, Cody Rhodes, and I say that to say this, if there's no Bullet Club people around, nobody interferes, I feel as though, like I do with anybody, I have the ability to knock out anybody that they put in front of me, world champion or not. So while I respect Cody and the great things that he's done, if he were to defend the Ring of Honor World Championship against Shane Taylor, and I connect with that right hand, he goes to sleep, and you're looking at the new Ring of Honor World Champion.
Okay, well, that could happen very, very soon if Cody Rhodes would have the guts to put the title on the line against Shane Taylor. We might be seeing that soon. So before we go, are there anything you want to plug, or if anything you want to plug away, man?
All right. I want to thank you guys for having me again. If whoever's listening, please prowrestlingtees.com/Shane Taylor, bottomlinemerch.com/Shane Taylor, Twitter and Instagram. Please follow at Shane216 Taylor. Or hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Notorious Shane Taylor. Want to thank you guys for all of the support over the past almost 10 years. It's crazy to even think about that. But I'm looking forward to the next 10, the next 20 being the most exciting and the most productive by far.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Shane, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. It was an honor and a privilege to have you on the show today, my man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you for having me anytime.
Anytime you want to come back, anytime you want to cut a promo on Cody Rhodes or Josh Woods or anything like that, feel free. Feel free to send me a message, and I'll bring you back for sure.
For sure, brother. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, man. All right, this has been the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast for the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. I am Lewis Carlan, and until next time, thank you, bye-bye, and stay safe.